Now that Barcelona have signed Oriol Romeo, Barcelona have now made 5 total signings in the summer, which does include Mikhail Faye, Gundogan, Inigo Martinez, Vitor, and of course Oriol Romeo. In my opinion, I do think that with Oriol, Barcelona have reinforced their midfield in a very defensive way. Oriol is a player that can bring a lot of defensive talents into the team, which is going to be really good to see. I don't necessarily think that this is a star signing and that this is a signing that's going to be changing Barcelona for the next 5 to 6 to 7 years and the team is going to look different. He's neither of those two things. Like if Barcelona signed Joshua Kimmich, it would have been a different conversation. But with Oriol Romeo, I just think that he is just simply a reinforcement in case one of our main players ever do get injured. And that's about it. But I'm happy for him. I'm happy to see that he's back at Barcelona after being gone for like 12, 13, 14 years. And hopefully he does get redemption and he gets the second chance and he uses the second chance as a way to say, I'm a good player. I know what I can bring and I'm going to leave my mark here before I do leave, because he knows even himself that he does not have a lot of time. It's going to be a 2 to 3 year deal. And so I'm sure that he's going to bring his all in the first 2 or 3 months. So Barcelona have reinforced the center back positions, the striker position, and also the midfield. But what we do really want to talk about here in this video is what's going to be the next move. What does Xavi want to do next now that we have signed 5 total players? And that is the main reason why I wanted to make this video, is to talk about who Barcelona are going to go for and what positions are going to be reinforced. I have been asked this many times, and so this is the reason why I'm going to be making this video. And I do think that the 2 players that Barcelona will be going for and that Xavi does want badly is Bernardo Silva and Cancelo, 2 Portuguese players, right? It's not a coincidence. This is definitely not a coincidence, because we have Deco as our sporting director. He's very closely linked with these 2 players. He knows them. They're from the same national team. And so I'm sure he does have some sort of pull on bringing Cancelo and Bernardo Silva to Barcelona. And we all know exactly why Xavi Hernandez wants Bernardo. That is because Bernardo Silva wants Barcelona. And Xavi does appreciate his versatility. The fact that he can play as an interior in the midfield and also as a right winger, that is something that Xavi really does want, because we don't really have a player like that right now. Dembele can only play on the right wing and that's it. Raphinha can only play on the right wing and that's it. But on paper, Bernardo Silva can be placed in Pedri's position. He can also be placed in Dembele's position. He's again very versatile, and signing him would give Barcelona a lot of options. So maybe like in one game we see Xavi on the left wing inverting himself, making a 4-man midfield, and then on the next game we surprise the opposition. Then they're going to be thinking that we're going to go with Xavi, Lewandowski, and Dembele, but on that game we use Bernardo Silva on the right side, and he's the one inverting himself and forming the 4-man midfield, and that changes everything for the opposition in terms of their plans. But what does excite us the most about Bernardo is that he's very good on 1v1s. Like if we talk about a prime Dembele and a prime Bernardo Silva, they're both very even in terms of 1v1 duels. Like you and me know exactly just how great Dembele is on 1v1s. Bernardo Silva is up there and right next to Dembele, and sometimes he's even better. But the reason why Bernardo Silva does stand out from Dembele in terms of 1v1s is because Bernardo is able to do that, but in tight spaces. Just look at the game between City and Bayern Munich when Bernardo Silva was being covered by 2 or 3 players, but he was able to dribble around those 3 to 4 players in tight spaces and create a goal-scoring chance. Dembele cannot really do that. Sometimes he does pull it off, but he does become his prime self when he sees a lot of space. With Bernardo Silva, he does not require just only a lot of space. He can still bring out great performances under tight spaces. So it brings another solution, and I would even say that right now the closest thing to Messi's dribbling is Bernardo Silva's dribbling. His passes are also very lethal. Like he really knows how to find those players inside the box. As a matter of fact, right now he does average a total of 8.09 progressive passes received per 90 minutes, which puts him in the 99th percentile. That is amazing. Like I don't know if you guys know what that even means, but that basically means that he basically finds the forwards inside the box with his passes 8 times per game. That is just insane. No wonder Xavi wants Bernardo Silva. And with Cancelo, we all know that Cancelo is very much appreciated because he can play as a right back and he can also play as a right center back. His crossing ability is also amazing. I would put him right next to Trent from Liverpool. And I just think that if you have Cancelo in those positions where Koundé does play, you have much more passing range. I can already see Xavi Hernandez saying, we're going to be placing Cancelo in this game and I'm going to need Cancelo to find those crosses into the box to find Lewandowski or Vitor. It would be amazing. Like to find Vitor or Lewandowski in the air, you can find a lot of assists and a lot of goals. Now, am I saying that Koundé is bad and that he doesn't bring anything attacking wise? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when it comes to crosses specifically, Cancelo can provide that solution. As a matter of fact, if Barcelona ever have to face against a player that does include Vinicius or Kylian Mbappe or Foden, I would put Koundé. I would not put Cancelo. There's a time and place to put both of those players. And you can also rotate with so many different types of defensive lines. So you can have Cancelo as a right back, Koundé, Araujo, and Balde in one match, or maybe another day you have Cancelo, Araujo, and Christensen with Alejandro Balde. And let's just say, for example, Christensen and Araujo gets injured, like what we saw last year. No problem. We can have Cancelo on the right back position with Koundé and Inigo Martinez as a center back duo with Balde on the left back position. If Balde is injured, you can just put Marcos Alonso. No problem. Now, in the end, it's going to cost money to bring these two players in. The only solution I can see happening in the summer, if they really want to bring the two players in the summer and really solidify this transfer window with a big bang by signing these two players, is by having these two players on loan. And keep in mind, Jorge Mendes is the agent of these two players, and Jorge Mendes has been working with Barcelona a lot. Joan Laporta has great connections with Jorge Mendes, and I'm sure that they're talking right now about what they could do. Jorge Mendes has huge clientele, and he definitely wants to move his players somewhere else. Now, here's what does get very interesting. I know you guys read the title. There has been this story about potentially Raphinha going to Manchester City, and hopefully in return we get Bernardo Silva. And so in that way, Barcelona in the future can avoid any potential mandatory transfer fee that they have to pay, like in about 1 to 2 years for Bernardo Silva. So let's say Barcelona get Bernardo Silva on loan, and in about a year, the mandatory purchase option does get activated, but it's only 10 million euros. And the only reason why it's 10 million euros is because we sent Raphinha the other way instead of paying the 80 to 85 million euros for Bernardo. Now, you may also ask, why would Man City even want Raphinha? Like, why him? Well, it says here, according to The Athletic, that there has been a team in Saudi Arabia that has found a total agreement with Man City to sign Mahrez, who is also a right winger. And it's going to be a deal of 30 million euros plus 5 million euros in add-ons. And so that is already signed and sealed. Man City have lost a right winger. And that is why we're hearing today that City could be interested in Raphinha to reinforce the right wing position. And it's crazy to me, right? I might go a little off topic here, but it's crazy to me, like, to hear that City are being taken down like this. Like, so many players are leaving. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but many players have left. Like, that Champions League squad that we saw, they're being torn apart. Pep Guardiola is losing his best players. Like, he wants those players, but they're all leaving. And it really makes you think, like, again, I know I'm going off topic, but it really makes you think, like, could these players be leaving only because they're just so done with going under the teachings of Pep Guardiola? Because we know that Pep Guardiola is a very hard coach, right? A coach that does require a lot from his players, a lot of dedication. And I can understand why some players might feel a little taxed, because now knowing that these players have won the Champions League and they have won everything for City, they're like, okay, we won everything. We fulfilled our promises. We did what Pep Guardiola was asking us to do. I want to win in another way. I don't want to win in this way. It's just too taxing. I'd rather just go to a different club and find a different journey. Like, they just want to win, but under different circumstances and under different rules, and just overall a different style of play. Like, we're seeing Cancelo wanting to leave. Mahrez has already left. Bernardo Silva wants to go to Barcelona. Gundogan has signed for Barcelona. Kyle Walker also does want to leave and has told Pep Guardiola he wants to go to Bayern Munich. But again, that's like a whole other different conversation. I might make that like a separate video about how Pep Guardiola runs his team at Manchester City, but not for now. I want to go back to the conversation about Raphinha, Barcelona, and Bernardo Silva. Now, so again, there was a report coming from Foot Mercato that has stated that Raphinha is a top target for Man City if Mahrez does leave, which we all know he has already left. The interest is concrete, and the sporting director of Man City and Deco have already been in contact for weeks. Barcelona will listen to offers for Raphinha, so it's very interesting. There's also been other reports coming from Tony Juan Marti. He has countered this story, and he said this: Raphinha and Barcelona don't know anything about Man City. In England, there are other teams that want the Brazilian much more than Manchester City, but Raphinha is happy, and Xavi has already given him the confidence and the support. The player only thinks about playing for FC Barcelona and nothing more. Now, for me personally, I've already told you guys that Raphinha does deserve a second season. I do think that in this second season, he can give a lot in terms of goals and assists. His attitude is looking like it's getting better, and he's a workhorse. And so I would want him at this club. But let me tell you, if Xavi gives the green light to Bernardo Silva and Bernardo Silva continues to push to move to Barcelona, and we also see that Man City do want to go for Raphinha, you better bet that Barcelona will get the deal done. And that is going to be the question that I want to ask you guys. Would you guys switch Raphinha for Bernardo Silva? These are two very different players that have different qualities, different ways of playing. And so that is why I do want to ask you guys, would you guys switch Bernardo Silva for Raphinha? That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.